it's Ehris
and Velya, grounded good life. So in people's jobs, there are words that are kind of exclusive to that job, kind of like the jargon of the job. Like for instance, when I was still a classroom teacher, I would use the term differentiated instruction, or I would say IEP, and the people in my world, they knew exactly what I was talking about. Or a plumber, he or she might say that they're going to sweat the pipes. Or an allopathic doctor, they may use that really vague term when they don't know how to diagnose something and call something idiopathic. So I was thinking about this, that we have been a holistic family since long before Ehris was born, because way back in the 1950s, my mom started reading Adele Davis, she listened to Carlton Fredericks. She really was a pioneer in this whole holistic way of living. I think she just didn't realize it. She would buy wheat germ at the very, very, very early health food stores. We ate yogurt when nobody else knew what yogurt was. So I have realized, primarily because we go to this Chalem farmers market every Monday, and I think Ehris and I, we just kind of throw these terms out there, and because it's part of our jargon, we kind of think that people automatically know what we're talking about. So I think sometimes people might be a little tiny bit embarrassed, to explain to us that they don't really know what we're talking about. So I thought we're going to pick 3 of those terms and just go into them in a little bit more detail to make it a little bit more clear. And we're going to start with the term holistic.
So holistic, I feel like it have a definition, a little bit definition to everybody, but in general, to me, holistic means that you in health world, it means you take into account the whole person, not just their one symptom. Like if their shoulder hurts, you wouldn't just be like, okay, I'm gonna give you something for that. You would take into account what else is going on with them. And also it's taking into account their lifestyle, their emotional health, their mental health, who might be around them in their life. So just not just looking at one thing, looking at the whole picture. And it can be to do with the way you live, the way you eat, the way you farm, anything like that too.
And I think it really is looking at something that sometimes a symptom isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like if a kid has a fever, you shouldn't necessarily automatically try and get that fever down, especially not with something like Tylenol. Or if somebody is throwing up, or somebody has diarrhea. Those aren't necessarily bad things when you look at life holistically.
It's like your body telling you there's something wrong that it's trying to get rid of. And yet you can totally support that herbally, but it's not something that you necessarily want to suppress allopathically.
Right. The next term is the word tinctures.
So there are a bunch of ways of making and preparing and taking herbal medicine. So there's tinctures, teas, salves, flower essences, all kinds of ways. So tinctures, some people, including my mom, say that they're the easiest way to take herbal medicine because they're pretty simple to have with you at all times, usually in dropper bottles, hopefully glass dropper bottles, and you just take a certain amount depending on what's going on with you in your mouth, a little bit of water, and you drink it throughout the day. And so tinctures are really just a way of making herbal medicine with the herbs in alcohol, usually macerated, aka steeped for at least a month or longer, and then you strain them and then put them in the tincture bottle and then take them as needed.
Mm-hmm. And we have, how many tinctures do we have?
We have 41 at the moment, and we're always coming up with new ones because we're always finding out cool things about plants and making new blends. So,
and one thing to mention, I think a lot of people don't think about this, we make our tinctures with non-GMO alcohol, so something to think about. Next one is the term herbal infusions. This one I think really mixes people up, but it really is really, really, really simple.
So herbal infusion and herbal tea, I use interchangeably. Officially, in the dictionary, they're not the same thing. Herbal tea, tea comes from the Camellia sinensis plant. So tea is officially...
You sound so Latin there.
I'm a big fan of Latin scientific names. I'm a dork.
She knows the Latin name of every single plant. When we used to still be, the world was an open place and we go to our speaking gigs and have a 2-hour drive, I would try and stump her. If she was ever on Jeopardy, she would clean up on the Latin names of plants category.
I'm secretly a dork. But,
sounds so secret.
So tea officially is black tea, green tea, white tea, okay? And then herbal infusions are made with just dried herbs medicinally that you boil water, make your tea, blah blah.
Right. But why do you not? You normally don't say infusion.
I think when you say herbal infusion, people have no idea what you really mean, even though it's such a simple term. And also, I think herbal infusion sounds a little bit snobby, a little bit maybe pretentious, but it's really just herbs and hot water or cold water, depending on what the herb is. But just pretty much the same thing, but it's a very, very powerful way of taking herbal medicine too. Definitely overlooked by most people.
Right. So that's our first 3. We're going to be back with more terms that you shouldn't feel dopey that you don't know, because how in the world could you possibly know them? Because it's our jargon, but we want to make it your jargon.
Let's share jargon.
Oh, brother.
Bye.